Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
Hey, it's me, Gus the Gopher for Atmos Energy. I dig all around the yard. Occasionally, I bump into a utility line and get a headache. But if you hit one with your shovel, backhoe, or ditch digger, you could cause a gas leak, disrupt service, or worse. So call 811 at least 3 business days before you or someone else digs in your yard to have those underground utility-owned lines marked. It's free and it's the law. You dig what I'm saying? For more on safe digging, visit atmosenergy.com/811.
Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. And you can say I'm a Rocky Mountain horticulturist this morning. Java, how you doing, man?
Every time you're out of the studio, I'm a little nervous, but I'm making it. We're making it happen this morning.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm in the backyard of my cousin Sam Rushing. We can talk about that in just a minute, but I have been on the road a good bit this week. Matter of fact, right after we got off the air last week, I went over to meet with the Daylily Society over in Alabama, Alabama, Mississippi. Had a real good time with them. Real folks. I got to tell you, I work with a lot of different kind of plant societies: the rose, the iris, the daffodil, the African violet, the hosta. But the Daylily people, I hate to say this, not supposed to have favorites, but they're the coolest because because they love their. And don't get me wrong, these are people who can't stop at 200 different kinds. They got to have 350 different kinds of daylilies. But they know that their plants are ephemeral. They're not here all the time. So they grow stuff, all sorts of stuff with companions. So when you go to a Daylily Society garden, it's not just daylilies. It's every possible. It's got salvias and irises and all sorts of what they call companion plants. In other words, their plants all look alike to me, different colors, different shapes, but sort of like Java, sort of like people who collect shot glasses. You know anybody collect shot glasses when they go on vacation?
You know what's funny about that? Crystal.
What?
Crystal does that. She gets the shot glasses.
Well, you know, and shot glass people, Crystal sees everyone as a unique, distinctly different shot glass, but to everybody else, they all look kind of alike. Well, I hate to say it, but that's the way daylilies are to me. There's incredible big ones, little ones. They got spidery things and great big frilly things, but you know, when you get 750 of them in one yard, they kind of run together like a shelf full of shot glasses. Maybe I shouldn't do that, Java.
Nah,
but
anyway, you did it.
They're good folks, and they grow a lot of plants, and they hybridize. They take pollen from one flower and they put it on another flower, and they wrap it up so bees can't get to it, and they come up with their own different varieties. And there's some incredible ones out there. Anyway, I had a good time talking with them, Java. But as soon as I got off the air, I took off for the Rocky Mountains Saturday. Went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Did Yellowstone National Park, Grand Tetons. Matter of fact, I'm not sure if they can show, but I've got picture number 3 is the Grand Tetons in Wyoming with a wildflower meadow. And the reason I want to show this, Java, is a lot of people have this idea that we can have wildflower meadows in Mississippi, and we can for a year or two. But wildflowers are sort of a temporary thing. They grow where not much else will grow. So when you see wildflowers, they're telling you the soil is too rocky or too dry, or for some reason trees don't grow very well. And that's where you get these wildflowers. In Mississippi, you plant wildflowers. Instead of, you can have a lawn or you can plant wildflowers. That's the first step in what they call plant succession. If you plant wildflowers, next thing you know, it's going to have ragweed in it and wild blackberries, and it's going to start taking over. Then you get bushes and shrubs and trees. In Mississippi, a meadow tries to go to forest. So a wildflower meadow is one step from a lawn towards a forest, and you got to maintain it, you got to mow it, you got to control weeds. It's just not as practical as we'd like. So what I prefer is to grow native perennials. You grow a few coreopsis and black-eyed Susan, but I'd rather have the next step up, which is a flower garden that uses native plants, including wildflowers. Anyway, the Grand Tetons were fantastic. You can't tell from this picture how shaky I was, because I'm like 8,000 feet up. Java, I'm from the Delta. I could barely breathe out here.
I was gonna ask if Abram and Johnsy are back in the back, and if you want to see any of our pictures or check out the show, later on, you can go to YouTube.com and type in the Gestalt Gardener. But if they could put that picture back up, that I was gonna ask you. You got your photographer skills up, man. That is a beautiful picture of that wildflower meadow with the mountains in the back. Like that is phenomenal, man.
Well, I've got a bunch of them, but just trying to keep it as much as we can to gardening. But speaking of pictures, anybody who's on the on YouTube watching the live stream, I want to show a picture number one. If Abram can
I already saw it, man.
Describe what people are seeing.
Man, I don't know. You come over to you've been over to the yard and you just snap pictures. But these worms are in my garden, and I can only describe them as two things: fat and juicy.
Fat and juicy. That's fat and juicy. So anyway, but you were just digging around in the leaves and found those kind of things. Is this something you were? I know your folks, your granddad, your dad are gardeners, but were you raised digging around looking for worms? Or is it just something that's coming on you in your 30s?
No, I've always fascinated nature and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't know if I need to leave them in the garden or take them to the creek and go fishing with them. I was perplexed. I didn't know what to do.
Sort of a Zen thing. The good part is that you put them in the garden and they'll make more of them. But and before we get to any calls and all, let me get them to throw up picture number 2, because this is something that I really don't know what this is. Java, I don't even cut my hair, and I wrote the foreword to the best-selling lawn care book in the South, but I don't have what is this thing?
Man, that is our new lawnmower at the. That's why I don't even know when you snapped this picture, man. That's our new lawnmower at the house. It was an adventure maybe about 2 weeks ago. Our lawnmower quit on me. I was trying to cut the grass, and we had to get a new lawnmower, and it's just a lawnmower. That's it.
Okay, now I'm not trying to be misogynist here or anti-misogynist, but who pushes that thing around the yard?
Now I'm gonna do it in the proper form.
Yes.
Myself and Crystal equally.
Okay. And I'm curious. We all need the exercise, and it's nice to have neat. One of the reasons why people have a neat lawn is because it shows that we have order in our lives. It's sort of like making the bed up. Nobody's going to see if you make the bed up or not, but if you do, you feel like you got a grip. You've done something, you can look over it and see what you did. And lawn gives that kind of satisfaction, but some people want you to get out and do a little bit more. They want to edge it and all that. That's the reason Crystal does it, because you don't hit it just quite right?
Crystal is a lady that knows how she wants things to be, and she's not afraid to go and make them so. That's what I'll say.
Make them so. Well, you're going to have to tell me, because we're live, and I'm on my laptop, and I'm out in this beautiful garden in the Colorado Rocky Mountains. I can't see if we got any callers or not. So you're going to help me out if we do that?
Oh yeah, we got an early caller. So if you want to join the conversation, 1-877-MPB ring. That's 1-877-672-7464. Felder's out of the studio, so I'm kind of on pins and needles because we don't know what's going to happen. But let's talk with Jim.
There's going to be some stuff happening, Java.
Let's talk with Jim in Jackson this morning. Good morning, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Felder. I'm pleased to hear that you've been on the road, and I've come to the conclusion that God is a magnificent gardener. I've been on the highways of Mississippi the last 10 days, the interstates and state highways and the Natchez Trace, and the black-eyed Susans that you mentioned earlier and the Queen Anne's lace is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, Jim, a lot of people say, well, I wish we had more wildflowers, but they keep mowing them. But this is an oddball thing. It's sort of a little schadenfreude here. We used to mow and spray along the roadsides, keep it nice and neat, because that's what most people like. But there go the wildflowers, and there go the pollinators and the songbirds and all that. Well, because Mississippi is kind of let's say we're scratching the bottom of the barrel for extra funds. They ran out of enough money to hire the people and the equipment and the expensive chemicals to do the roadside. So we're getting more wildflowers because we can't afford to do better.
Well,
I don't mean do better.
I hope the mowers will lay off for a while, but I found an interesting fact out about black-eyed Susans.
What's
Apparently, back in 1912, a University of Southern Mississippi co-ed thought that the black-eyed Susans were so nice and that the colors were so good, she suggested that their university adopt the colors of black and gold for their school colors. And so today, the USM's colors come from the black-eyed Susan.
Wow. That's interesting. Well, actually, technically, it's brown and gold, but we're not. But you know, whatever looks best on the flag. But I appreciate that, Jim.
The other thing I discovered was that the flowers and seeds of the Queen Anne's lace are thought to be a contraceptive. But Felder, I don't know whether it's the man or the woman that should eat them.
Okay, you know, this is public radio and it's Think Radio, but we ain't going there.
Okay. But they do look pretty out there, and it's just fun driving down the highways and seeing those beautiful flowers out there.
You know, there's several wildflowers out there. And Jim, if you live near Jackson, if you get off the interstate at the Ridgeland exit, and anybody listening, when you go into Jackson, the exit north of the Natchez Trace in Jackson at Ridgeland, if you get off the exit there, immediately on the Ridgeland side of the interstate, the east side of the interstate, they've got like a 3-acre wildflower meadow that's being taken care of. You can water. They got paths, they got artwork, but it's got all sorts of gold, Queen Anne's lace. It's got black-eyed Susan. It's got Gaillardia. It's got Coreopsis. And by the way, Coreopsis is our Mississippi's official state wildflower. Anyway, it's a meadow there. They take care. They mow it every year to keep the wildflowers at that stage of succession. But anyway, the Ridgeland exit right off Interstate 55. And I appreciate your call, Jim.
Have a good trip, Felder.
You bet. And Java, before we go anything else, he talked about things that are pretty. Let's see if Abram can put up picture number, excuse me, picture number 10 that I sent in. This is a picture that this is a caterpillar that a member of the Mississippi Gardening Facebook sent in. Want to know what it was? Can you see that thing?
Yeah, no, it's I'm gonna say it looks like it has a blanket on his back.
It's called a saddleback caterpillar.
Saddleback caterpillar. Okay, I can see it. It's
it's a caterpillar shape. It's got lots of legs. It's got a sort of a lime green blanket and a spot on the middle of it. But you see all those little bristles sticking out everywhere. The little look like towers with little bristles on it.
Yeah, little porcupine-y kind of things.
Exactly. Well, this is one of the few venomous caterpillars in Mississippi. Those are designed to keep birds from eating it. If you pick one of these things up, it will sting you and it'll make every lymph gland in your body swell up. It's considered poison. It's a beautiful caterpillar, and those are just for defense. But anybody who wants to pick one up, gonna have a tactile experience. Anyway, it turns a beautiful moth. This is one of those things you need to admire because, different people have different thoughts about, where everything in the world comes from. But whoever designed this had a sense of humor because it is a bizarre looking caterpillar.
Well, Felder, we're coming up on our first break. We do have Sally from Waveland, Bill from Neshoba County, on the line. So we want to encourage them to stick around as we take a quick break.
Okie doke, man. I appreciate it. And folks, I spent the past few days in the Denver Botanical Garden studying cold hardy cactus and succulents. Glad to see some of our own native plants there. But I'm staying with my cousin Sam Rushing, who before moving to Ouray, Colorado, become a top glass artist. Had Mississippi's first commercial winery in the state. Just I said, miracle. And we're going to talk about him and his wife's dyes book and all. But we're going to come back with more of the Gestalt Gardener right here on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Stick with us, folks.
together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Every parent wants their child to grow, to explore, and to dream big. At MPB, we're proud to support families and teachers across Mississippi with trusted educational programming and resources that inspire learning and spark imagination. From PBS Kids favorites to digital tools and early learning support, MPB is here for young minds, engaged classrooms, and families who believe in the power of learning at every age. Empowering families, inspiring learners. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hello, I'm Desiree Frazier, host of the award-winning news program, Mississippi Edition. We bring you conversations about the latest news from across the Magnolia State. Whether it's politics, healthcare, or education, you'll hear in-depth discussions on issues that matter to you. So join us each weekday morning at 8:30 on MPB Think Radio, or download the podcast, listen through the app, and online.
Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. Java, how do I look right now?
You don't look as good as you did, but you look okay, I guess.
I just want to show you this. Look, there's a compost pile.
Yeah, now that is a beautiful looking compost pile.
I've never done this.
And see, this is the nervous part I was talking about, Felder.
Okay. Don't mess with me.
Because you.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. Now I feel better.
Stop it. Just stop it. I was gonna put the camera down in a compost pile because we've never done that on MPB, and you're saying it didn't work.
Yeah, we've never done it on MPB, and I don't think we're gonna do it today.
Okay. Well, before we talk to my cousin Sam, who said we got have Sally on the line?
Yeah, we got a couple callers lined up. Let's first go to Waveland and talk with Sally.
Morning, Sally. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Felder. My question is, I have a little section around my carport that I plant tomatoes and bell peppers. If I add kitchen scraps there, I know organic stuff, and like put a bit in blender and put them out by the plants, will that will slugs come? Will that increase slugs and things that I don't want there?
That's a really good question. And oddly enough, in my 40 years of doing this, nobody's ever asked that. So I'm going to have to think a second. First of all, it's a good thing to put your kitchen scraps in your garden. You don't have to grind them up, maybe chop them up a little bit. And they as they decompose, they actually feed the plants. It's called sheet composting. Instead of putting it in a compost pile, you just put it directly in the garden. So chop it up rather than blend it. But to keep the slugs from doing it, have you got mulch around your plants? Do you have bark or anything on top of the soil?
I have leaves.
Okay. What I would do is I would pull the leaves back and put the stuff on the dirt and then cover it back up with leaves. Not only will that keep the slugs away, but the worms that come up at night and eat it, they'll do a better job. So just pull it back, scatter it on the ground, put the leaves back on top, or bark mulch or whatever you want to. And that way they'll feed it a little bit more efficiently. The worms can get it better. You're not going to attract the slugs.
Okay, thank you. And I have a question about blueberries.
Okay.
This year, our blueberries, they're producing fine, but we're not seeing the amount that we've had in the past. And we really never fertilize. Should we fertilize? And when do we need to fertilize?
Well, blueberries, like a lot of people, excuse me, I'm 10,000 feet up in the Rockies, and I'm having a little trouble with the skunk. But anyway, a lot of people know you don't have to fertilize plants. People have had plants, blueberries, camellias, azaleas, rubber trees forever without ever fertilizing them. But the plants need fertilizer. You don't need to put that much, just a little bit, maybe a scant handful around each plant of any kind of fertilizer sometime in the spring. If you haven't done it this year, now would be a good time. But you're not fertilizing for this year. You're fertilizing for next year to help the plants be healthy and strong this year, set better flower buds before fall. So you fertilize for good, strong plant growth the first season, but blueberries next year.
Okay, perfect. Enjoy the Rockies. Thank you so much.
Let me ask you this. Do you ever prune your blueberries?
Well, yes, we did. We pruned like 3 years ago, and they've really never recovered.
Well, I think it maybe because they were young, but I think it's a good idea to prune your blueberries every year. As soon as you get through harvesting, just cut them back to waist high, knee high, chest high, not knee high, waist high, chest high, but cut them back in the middle of the summer. As soon as you get through harvesting, they'll put on strong, healthy new growth with more berries next year. No pruning after this, but sometime in middle of summer, cut them back and leave them alone. Don't do any more pruning until the next year. That'll invigorate them. A little fertilizer, a little pruning.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So who else we got, Java?
Now let's go to Bill in Neshoba County.
Bill, what's going on in Neshoba County?
Well, hello. Actually, I'm out in the garden, and I have a couple of questions. One is about blackberries.
Yeah.
I have some wild blackberries coming up, and they've never tasted any good. But so I went and bought 3 at the nursery, and they just struggled for the first two years, and they started struggling this year. And I just thought, well, I'm gonna have to pull them up. And then a while back, they started growing like crazy, and now they're flowering.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, are they going to make fruit, or should I cut the flowers off and let them concentrate on the plants, or what should I do?
Here's the deal with blackberries. Blackberries have canes that come up in the spring. They grow all summer. The next year they flower and have berries. So the stems that are flowering now came up last year, and they'll have berries on them this year. But then they just stop. The new stems that are coming up for the ground now will have berries next year. So what you do is a little bit of fertilizer, a little mulch, something that you could use natural, any kind of fertilizer. But as soon as you get through picking the blackberries this year, cut those canes back. And then the stuff that's growing up now this year will have berries next year. So in other words, canes only live for a couple of years. They grow one year, they have berries the next, and then they get just thorny and stuff. So so you should have some good blueberries in the next few weeks. Blackberries.
Okay, I'll give it a try. And my other question is about tomatoes. My wife bought a tomato plant and stuck it out in the middle of her flowers in the front yard, and it's growing like crazy. And, I've always cut off the bottom leaves so they don't get the fungus or any disease. But hers, and then, between cuttings, you're supposed to put them in some radioactive stuff so they don't pass it on to the next one, and
no,
I've done
forget
that.
all that. Forget all that.
Yeah.
So, what's your question?
Hers is growing like crazy. There's no sign of disease, and I have cut back some of the bottom leaves, but I'm just wondering, is it possible that there's no disease up here where there's never been any tomatoes before, and I'm just doing something that I don't have to do?
I'll give you a general answer and then a comment. The general answer is the diseases that affect tomatoes are literally in the wind. They blow everywhere. Sooner or later, they're going to get them. If you plant tomatoes in the same place year after year after year, diseases do tend to build up in that area. But you can plant a tomato on top of the flagpole of the governor's mansion, and it's going to get leaf diseases. That's just part of it. So if you'll just put some mulch around to keep the dirt from splashing up on it, that'll help a lot. And anytime a lower leaf looks bad, just pluck it off. So anyway, so far you've just been lucky, I guess. That's That's my comment. As far as pruning or cutting stuff off, there are entire books written on how to grow tomatoes, but country folks just stick them in the dirt dirt and grow them. So, you'll hear all sorts of stuff that may or may not work. It's not necessary. But my comment is, does your wife know you're out there messing with her tomato plant?
She sends me out. She she said, I want you to plant it there. And then a little bit later, she said, I want you to put a cage around it. A little bit later, she said, can you build a bigger cage? So.
Have you fertilized it a lot? Have you fertilized it this year?
Fertilizing.
Okay, not too much, because tomatoes are real sensitive. You over fertilize and get all stem and no fruit. And also keep in mind that it's going to get really hot soon. When it hits the 90s, the mid 90s, tomato flowers fall off. They don't pollinate. Sometimes you get a small fruit and it'll shed. So when it gets really, really hot, the tomatoes tend to shut down. So do peppers. So if you start getting flowers and no tomatoes, just keep it going until fall. And when the weather cools, it'll pick back up. So see what you can get right now before it gets too hot.
Okay, I can do that. I have thought of another question. Is it possible to determine if a tomato plant is determinate or indeterminate?
Only way to tell is when you buy it at the garden center, because determinate tomatoes come in all different leaf shapes and sizes. Indeterminate, there's hundreds of tomatoes, and a lot of them look sort of, to me, like daylilies. They all look alike, but they have different kind of tomatoes on them. But no, you can't tell just from the leaf. Good question, though.
Okay. Have a good one.
Appreciate it. So, Java, what's going on?
We got one more call before I take our cheesy tune break. Let's talk with Mark in Belzoni.
Mark, what's going on in the heart of the Delta?
Hey, Felder, got a question for you. I want to know what you would do. I got weed control problem with my garden. I have my rows laid out about, they probably in the neighborhood of 45 to 48 inches wide. The rows are that distance apart. Okay. But what I want to do is I want to put down a herbicide, and the herbicide I'm looking at is, is Roundup, but it says on the bottle it's 41% glyphosate, right?
Yeah.
And would you put that, just roll it out? I don't want to spray it. I want to roll it out, on the ground, get as close as I could to the plants. Would you want to eat that after I did that?
Okay. The short answer is no. I try to be as natural as I can. I have zero problems with the proper use of glyphosate, the proper use of it. But I would only use it to spot treat. Certain weeds that are hard to kill, like poison ivy or privet or something. If you have a hard to kill weed that pulling doesn't get rid of, that's the only time I would really recommend using any kind of herbicide. In the garden, glyphosate only kills what's actively growing. You have to get it on the plant. Doesn't do any good to put it out ahead of time. So you have to put it on the weeds themselves. The problem is garden vegetables are really sensitive to this. Matter of fact, it'll really booger your tomatoes up bad if you get anywhere close to them. So if you have to use it, if you got hard to control weeds that tilling or using a sharp hoe doesn't help, then what I would do is I would brush it rather than spray it, because brushing is going to get it just on the foliage of your weeds. Maybe get you a little mop or a brush. But anyway, I would not spray glyphosate anywhere near flowers or vegetables, because it's very effective, but it's a little bit too effective for that. It's not a good use, is what I'm saying. We have enough trouble with herbicides anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning when I said roll it out. I was just going to roll it out. A roll brush, like you're painting on a roller.
Let me ask you this. You got wide rows. You have single plants down the rows, or do you have double rows of plants down each of your rows?
It's single plant down a row. Right.
Okay. That's a lot of room between those plants. One of the things when
I run my little lawnmower through it at times, or weed eater or something, but it's just getting too much water is falling, so they're just growing too fast. So I want to hit it with the herbicide,
Okay. I really can't in good conscience recommend using glyphosate, any kind of herbicide in the garden. I really can't. And it's not because I don't trust them, but it's because that's just not the easiest way to go. What I would do would be to get you some cardboard and lay it down in between your plants, just to cover the weeds up. And I know what I'm about to say is not. Again, I'm from the Delta. I was raised having to hoe 80 feet of okra, 4 20-foot rows of okra. I don't like what I'm about to say, but if you get a hoe and sharpen it, get one of those flat-bladed files and sharpen it, it's like shaving. You know, you shave halfway through, you say, this just isn't working, you drop it, put a new razor on, it just slices the things. If you'll sharpen a hoe, you don't have to chop. Just scrape the top of the ground, and that really gets rid of the worst of them. And if nothing else, use the hoe around your plants. And if you got to use a weed killer, use it in between the rows, nowhere near your plants.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, in between the rows.
Yeah,
in between the rows, that's what I'm trying to say, because my rows are like 150 feet long. You know?
Oh, that ain't a garden. That's a farm.
Yeah.
That's a farm. You know, I'm from the Delta. I understand. You can't help yourself. I understand.
Right.
But
right.
Well, you know what you might want to do is just get you one of these little mini tillers. You know, little small tillers, and just cultivate down in between it. You know, turn the weeds in and let them become organic matter to feed your plants.
Yeah,
but,
I'm doing that, but that's still a lot of work with those rows.
I know.
I got multiple.
I get it.
Multiple rows.
Okay. Well, if you're gonna go ahead and use it. But just remember, if something happens, don't call me.
Okay. I ain't worried about killing the plants. I just want to know if the food would be safe to eat. If I don't,
the food will be if the plants survive, the food will be good to eat.
Oh, okay.
Seriously.
Okay, that's what I want to hear. That's a good answer. Let's leave it there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
All right. Thanks, man.
Mark was trying to make sure he wasn't going to have to do too much work and make sure the food was safe to eat, because he was he said you said he doesn't have a garden, he got a farm.
A farm, yeah, that's right.
He got a lot going on.
Hey, can we? I know we hadn't done the cheesy music, but if we got just a few seconds for me to talk with my cousin Sam, show his tomatoes off.
Yeah, let's talk with. You know what we can do? We're gonna play our cheesy tune, because it's gonna give us a little more extra time in the break, and then we can talk with cousin Sam as soon as we come back.
Okay, though. Appreciate it.
That's what we'll do.
Okay, Java, I appreciate your hard work. You know, you're a producer. You know, you're got all sorts of hats at MPB, and having to deal with knuckleheads like me, I appreciate it.
You make me nervous, but I love every minute of it.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, folks. This cheesy tune, I came up with something from Disney, and if you don't remember it, Google it. It's called Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
Hey, it's me, Gus the Gopher for Atmos Energy. I dig all around the yard. Occasionally, I bump into a utility line and get a headache. But if you hit one with your shovel, backhoe, or ditch digger, you could cause a gas leak, disrupt service, or worse. So call 811 at least 3 business days before you or someone else digs in your yard to have those underground utility-owned lines marked. It's free and it's the law. You dig what I'm saying? For more on safe digging, visit atmosenergy.com/811.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Mississippi is a place of deep roots where every story matters and every voice can be heard. At MPB, we stand with our local communities, bringing you the voices of those who shape our state through local programming that reflects our culture across small towns to big cities, from the Delta to the coast. We tell the stories that define us, from the music that carries our voices to the leaders who inspire change. MPB brings you the heart of Mississippi, celebrating Mississippi one story at a time. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okay, welcome back, folks. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. It looks like I'm in a real bright sun because I am. It is so sunny here in the Rocky Mountains. But anyway, I wanted to introduce my cousin, Sam Rushing. Look at there, Java. Two old guys with long hair.
Oh yeah. When y'all said cousins, it was no questions about it.
Sam had the first winery in Mississippi since Prohibition, and you decided to come up here and blow glass for a living.
Yeah. And do pottery.
But we've been keeping in touch over the years. But I want to show what he's got right here in the middle of his garden. Can you see those tomatoes?
Oh yeah. Oh, I can see them. They're popping out.
Yeah. So these are getting Rocky Mountain high on tomatoes here.
Yeah, we have 60 frost-free days at 8,000 feet.
60 days with no frost. That's 2 months, folks. We have tomatoes before he can even plant tomatoes.
That is wild, because you gotta be real specific with the 60 days.
Well, I'm gonna go sit back down in the shade, but while we're headed down there, if you could get them to put up picture number 8, tell me what you see there.
Oh, it's so okay. So we have the glass, blown glass sculpture. I'm trying to think, is that like a jewel? It's blue.
It looks like a jewel.
Yeah.
Sam custom made this for me. You know, a lot of people have bottle trees in their yard because it keeps away bad spirits and all that stuff. And I don't believe in bad spirits, but I can't sit out here because it's too much.
But also, this could go on a bottle tree.
I'm going in the shade. Can you see me, or did I push?
Is it better over here, Felder?
Did I push a button?
Yeah, your feed went away. If you're not watching us on YouTube for this extravaganza, make sure you check us out anytime on YouTube.com. Just Google the Gestalt Gardener, or type in the Gestalt Gardener in the search bar, or Mississippi Public Broadcasting. You're back now, man.
Okay. See okay, Java. You know, it's an experiment with this live feed thing. You know, y'all make me have to shave and comb my hair and all that. But now I'm learning I got to be still. I can't move around and do stuff.
Yeah, we're learning our limitations. But today's been okay.
Yeah, there's an old song. People from the '60s remember this. It was a song called "Do the Wine," and they had a line in there. So there I am, a long-haired leaping gnome.
A long-haired leaping gnome.
That's what I am. Anyway, the bottle, the picture that we were showing is of a witch ball. Sam made this. It's about this bigger than my fist, I guess. It's a hollow glass ball. It's hollow. It's got a hole in the bottom, and it's got wings made out of a different colored glass. And I hang it out in the yard. And allegedly at night, when witches come by, or bad spirits, they're attracted to the colors. They go in the bottom of that witch ball. They get trapped in it. And the next morning, the sunshine comes out and kills them.
It zaps them, and it's like, yeah, I like it.
No, but it's no witches in my garden. It must work. But anyway, some people hang stuff out of holes in their ears. Sam made me a nice little ornament to hang in my yard, and I really appreciate that. So, and before we go to this next thing, let me also mention his wife, Diane Rushing. She goes by Di. She just wrote a book called Delta in the Rearview Mirror. She and Sam had their winery. There's some vandalism. They let all the wine go into the river. They tore up her restaurant, and they said, you know what, heck with this, we're leaving. And they just left and came to Colorado and doing a fun job blowing glass and doing pottery here. But anyway, Delta in the Rearview Mirror. Shout out to Di Rushing. A lot of people in the state know her. So anyway, enough of that, Java. What we got going on?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's all well and good. Not enough of that. But let's talk with Charlene from Laurel, who's called in this morning.
Okay, Charlene, what's going on down in Laurel?
Hello. Can you please help me how to get rid of nut grass out of my garden?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one, nut grass. Three approaches all work. One is to pull it, and then pull it and pull it.
Yeah,
and believe it or not, that works. But the trick is you got to stay on top of it. If you pull it one time, it comes right back. But when it first comes back, it's not as much. If you'll pull it before it gets established, and then one more time, pull about 3 times, every chance you get, it peters out before it has a chance to get established again. You can get rid of it pulling it. That works. You can also, before you plant your garden next year, get it, dig it up, row it up, get it ready to plant. And when the new growth comes up, this is one of the few times I would recommend using a herbicide. These herbicides, they don't last in the soil, not the ones I'm talking about. And you can spray it or brush it on the nut grass when it first comes up, and within a few days it starts turning yellow, and you can plant right through it. There's no residual activity is what I'm saying. And that's the quickest way. There are some weed killers that only kill nut grass. There's one called sedge hammer, because it kills nut sedge. It doesn't hurt other plants. And again, there's no residual in the soil, so you don't have to worry about planting your garden later. But you could spray it. You might be able to spray it around other plants now, but keep in mind that sedgehammer only kills sedges, but the other herbicides can kill other plants. I really don't like to use herbicides in the garden, but nut sedge is one time when I would do it. You can also use this stuff called glyphosate. It's not Roundup. They changed that. The Roundup, not the same thing. I no longer recommend Roundup. But the stuff that's in it called glyphosate, it's effective and it's safe, but you can only put it on what you want to kill. If you get on other plants, it can cause problems. So anyway, if you want some more detail about that, send me an email. I can get more detail. But in general, pull it, or else spray with a herbicide when you don't have any garden plants out there.
All right. I appreciate that.
Okay, good luck on it.
Thank you.
Oh boy, Java, I'm going to the Albuquerque Botanical Garden in the morning to meet with the horticulturist there. I'm trying to look for cacti that will, succulents that will grow in hot weather like we have and in cold weather like we have. And some of the pictures that I sent, one is picture number 6, is a lot of people know about cactus. They just call it cactus. Prickly pear cactus is one of the little round pads of leaves that look like pancakes stuck in like Mickey Mouse ears. But I found one that the flowers the plant itself is only the size of my thumb. It's got the prettiest little red flowers. But this is prickly pear. Opuntia is the Latin name. They come in all different shapes and sizes. They'll grow outside in Mississippi all year in a pot with no water, nothing. They'll survive on 10 inches of rain. So you put some of these in pots, set them out where they get sunshine, and you can leave them out all summer and all winter. And I think I've got picture number 5 of just one shot of my collection of hardy cacti and succulents. They're interesting, they're kind of bizarre looking, but they need zero care. So anyway, I just want to throw that out.
Now, see, I think people forget about that when you and to people forget that some flowers, like you say, don't need any care, and they will keep a nice green look, all the time. And when you say zero care, like, to explain, you mean zero care.
Java, you know that I'm gone for 3 months at a time every summer. Nobody waters my plants. I'm gone all winter. Nobody covers my plants up. They're on their own. This ain't African violets here. These are plants that don't need. These are plants that will grow in a cemetery. Dead people can grow these things.
Well, let's see what is growing in Lynn's garden. Lynn has called in from on the road. Lynn is on the road, like you, Felder. Let's see what Lynn is talking about.
What's up, Lynn? Good morning.
Hey, Felder. Hey, I've got two daughters. Well, one daughter that lives in Albuquerque and one that's visiting her right now. So I'm going to give a shout out to them, Adrian and Anna. I saw you last week at the Daylily Society, and we talked some. But anyway, I have a comment about the nutgrass situation. That's something we deal with all the time.
If you got a control for for nutgrass and daylilies, that'll work for just about anything else too.
Well, you can't spray the sedgehammer directly on the daylily. It'll kill it too. But you can spray your ground when it's fallow, like you talked about. If you spray it a couple times while it's fallow, we found dead nuts under the nut grass when we've dug into it after we've used sedgehammer, and also a product called Image. That you can buy Image right straight across the counter at Lowe's. But sedgehammer you may have to get from like a co-op or somewhere that's a little more specialized.
Yeah, they have in some of the garden centers, but you're right. The trick is if you use any kind of herbicide. It sounds like that all we're talking about is using weed killers. I rarely use any except on poison ivy. But these are, if you use them safely, they're effective. We're not talking about wall-to-wall herbicides like big agriculture. We're talking about in the garden. Spot treat just your weeds, and if you're using a safe product, it'll work. I'd rather just mulch or pull if it can, but nut sedge is a booger bear.
Well, when you pull it too, I mean, just taking and pulling it up, you break it off and you don't get anywhere near the nut. But if you'll take a plant knife or a shovel, and you'll dig down under it, and you'll follow those roots down to the nuts and get them out. Now, it's not still, you're not going to get every nut. You can forget that, but you can put a pretty big dent in it if you'll dig up and you'll be very gingerly follow those roots and find those nuts. Some of them are big, hairy black nuts. Some of them are little white nuts, and some of them are brown, round nuts. They're different species. But, that's what we do. I spent countless hours on my knees in my car.
A lot of people don't want to do that, but my recommendation when it comes, because I do mostly pulling on my nut sedge, if you pull it and then ignore it, what comes back will get established and you're back to ground zero. So if you're going to do that, pull, and then every time it puts up new growth, you can do this a cup of coffee in hand. Just pull it as you see it. Don't let it get reestablished. Don't pull every now and then. Pull regularly, and each time it gets easier. Anyway, appreciate
that. Hey, what city in the Delta were you from? I love the Delta. I'm between Inverness and Indianola right now, and I just absolutely love it. If I'm not from here, and I guess if I lived here, I might feel different,
Hang on a second. There's nothing between Indianola and Inverness. Nothing.
No, well, there's fields of cotton. There's fields of cotton. There's fields of
and there's a Sunflower River. I was born and raised in Indianola.
In Indianola, okay. Well, that's one of my go-to places. And Delta tamales to me are the closest thing to perfection that you can get. So anyhow, that's my shout out.
I will say this. I had some tamales in Santa Fe, New Mexico. They're not greasy. They don't have as much lard in them as Delta. You can hold them in your hand and eat them. And by the way, this is, and we're trying to wrap stuff up here, but let me mention this. when I'm in England, people find out from Mississippi, they always say, have you ever been to the Delta? Because, the Delta, the music, the cuisine, at one time, the wine, all this is world famous. And I'm thinking, I flunked out of Mississippi Delta Junior College. You don't get more Delta than flunking out of Mohead.
I got you. Well, to me, it's a country within itself. I mean, it's a region.
It is.
So,
yep. All right. Well, we need to scoot.
We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Java, we just sort of got into a little private conversation there, didn't we?
Yeah, but I was just about to say, speaking about the Delta, we got something real special coming up on Next Stop Mississippi in the next hour. Like right now in the studio in front of me, I'm seeing Mr. Jimmy Duck Holmes, just like sitting there getting ready for the next show. We got Bobby Rush coming up. We got the I think it's the Bentonia Blues Festival, and yeah, it's gonna get real Delta.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you said that, my cousin Sam, he was, oh yeah. He said he's from Greenville, and had a winery out from Marigold. So
tunes his guitar.
Yeah. Oh, Jimmy Dutton showed Sam how to tune his guitar.
The Bentonian tune.
So we're sitting up at the Rocky Mountains talking about a blues singer for the Delta at MPB who taught my cousin how to tune a guitar.
That's how and that's how Mississippi rolls right there.
That's how we roll. That's how we roll. Well, I'll be rolling back to Mississippi this coming weekend. Not looking for the humidity, but looking forward to see what my garden looks like. Because you've been gone for a week and no telling what happens.
Oh, well, you can anticipate a lot of wetness because it is raining and it's more rain. This is Father's Day weekend, so Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. But it's supposed to be a washout, so a lot of inside hugging and high fiving.
How's Crystal's garden looking? She getting plenty of rain in her garden?
Yeah, it was funny. She called me the other day because she's out of town to make sure I watered, and I had already watered before she asked me to, but then I didn't have to water anymore because we've been getting rain all this week.
Yep. Well, don't be sitting on your laurels because even though it's raining right now, we know it's going to get hot and dry soon, folks. If you could go out after this rain and sort of lightly work up the dirt, spread some bark or some kind of mulch, that'll keep the ground cool and loose for the rest of the summer. So conserve what we got. Put it down deep when we get it rain, but using mulch will really help a lot. And by the way, Java, I'm getting a lot of calls about leaf spot diseases on maples and hydrangeas, tomatoes. All this rain just splashing spores around, so get ready to have some leaf diseases. That's what fungus and rain are spelled the same way.
I do hate that I missed our YouTube crew on YouTube this morning. I'm sorry, Pamela and Margie and Peg and Erica and Kendall, for just shouting y'all out at the end of the show. Sorry about that.
Okay, we appreciate it. And anyway, Java, you worked hard today. I've been doing it. Sam and I sitting back here. I don't know if you can see it. We got a fire going.
Tell everybody to get dirty. We got 5 seconds.
Okay, folks. MPB Gestalt Gardener. Let's go get dirty.